Welcome, 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 everybody, on this beautiful Saturday morning. Yes, thank you. Guys, you all showed up for yourself today, right? Activate your power now is our slogan is AYPN. It all starts within. So I feel like that speaks for itself, right? Change, activation, the things we seek in life, everything we need to do it is already within us. So that's what I love about our community and our speakers that come and share space with us is they have an understanding of this. And when you have that understanding of self and the power that we hold within us, that just does something to your spirit where you want to go share it with the world. And that's what we're about. Not being activated to sit and pat ourselves on the back and give ourselves kudos. Yes, that's part of it. Make sure you're doing that too. But it's really about once you activate that power and you truly get a knowing or start on the trail of understanding of who you are, it's about going out and sharing it with the world, knowing that it's going to make a difference.
So today we have our event, which is Focus, putting the pieces back together. And honestly, I've been focusing on staying cool. So bear with us. This is our first time here, and that's a part of the journey. Focusing on the highest outcome, right? Because there's potential in every moment, and it's easy to focus on the negative, but also at the same time, what is that taking from you? And how can we switch our focus to focus on the highest outcome, the best possible situation that can happen in every single moment? See, that's the challenge, to focus on goodness. There's three voices: the voice of others, the voice of ourselves, and the voice of God. So when we face situations in our life that bring hardship, the challenge is bringing our voice to the voice of God, to discriminate and to discern exactly what is that for us and how to act from that position. So with that being said, we're going to bring up Evie. Before we start, I'm going to do some house rules. So we have the bathroom, which is inside. So if you go down this side, hit the door, go straight in. It is right there, right in front of you. Also, there's teas inside as well. So we'll have an intermission about halfway through. So there will be teas and waters inside. So if you feel hot, just go
in and get some
go in and get some air as well. It's freezing inside. Exactly. That's where you stay cool.
While we're speaking of this beautiful space, we have to give a shout out to Micah. Thank you so much. AYPN's new event planner. She's new to the team. She's put some of the pieces together for us.
Mm-hmm.
And she's invited us to use this beautiful space, the Yellow Door event space in Olathe, Kansas. If you haven't checked it out, come check it out. It could be used for so many types of events, big or small. So just reach out to Micah, reach out to us. We'll be happy to get you connected.
Cool. So to start off our event, we have our MC. Her name is Evie. She's a powerhouse. She's been speaking on stage for the past 2 years now. She's a beautiful speaker, and she's going to introduce everybody up to the stage and just set the tone and allow a beautiful, harmonious flow to occur this morning. So with that being said, let's welcome Evie.
Thank you. Hello. Everybody take a deep breath. I want you to take a breath in and bring it within. Let's do it. The fact that you're breathing means that you are standing here as an answered prayer. Let's work that out, right? Because there was times that we were at our lowest and we were praying and begging for something to come get us and save us. You're standing here on the other side of that mess, on the other side that was meant to take you out, on the other side of that war, on the other side of that battle, standing here, sitting here in front of me. I see nothing but a room full of answered prayers. It's a beautiful thing. Just looking at all the blessings that you all must be. We have amazing speakers today. They're going to help you put your pieces back together because it starts within you. We're going to start with our Tokyo Drifter, who is coming through with a absolute roadmap to how he made his way back to the pieces that had become the whole man that he is. Tokyo, come on up.
Thank you. I knew there'd be a lapel mic, so I wore this fancy bohemian jacket to allow it to clip.
Fabulous.
Boom.
Visual.
My name is Tokyo, and thank you for being here today. Let's get started. Pretend I'm holding a plate. Shatters. Boom. It's on the floor. Pieces everywhere. There may or may not have been food on it, but that plate had a purpose to go to the table so that I could prepare my meal. It's on the floor. It's broken. It's shattered. Let me ask you a question. Is it still a plate despite it being in pieces? Because I don't know about you, but so many people put a tragedy on something being in pieces, not realizing the identity is still the same. So many humans are faced with setbacks, traumas, trials, tribulations, and traumas have the ability to rip apart the fabric of who you are. But the beautiful thing about traumas and situations and setbacks is that despite the caliber of intensity, all have a mechanism for development of self. Not yourself, of self. Because how many of you know there's multiple layers of self? Higher self, lower self, shadow self, they all over the place. AKA the pieces. Hello. I'm feeling good. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. But real talk, man. When we look at these things and these experiences, so many of us focus on trying to get back to where we were. Shoot, let me scoop up the plate. Let me get the dust plan and everything else. Oh man, I don't want anybody to see this. Oh, I was such a fool for letting the plate slip. Oh, I'm such a dumb human for having flaws. Hello, you're human.
Yeah.
You're human.
Yeah.
What, you can control gravity? You're God?
No.
So at what point do we stop focusing on the avoidance of the dropping? Whether it's you, commitments, your family, your partner, spouse, children. The byproduct of human interaction is hurt. You can't avoid it. I would be an idiot if I told you I'm gonna go to the gym and try not to experience pain. You can't avoid it. If you want growth, hello. So truly, my friends, when we're looking at and this guy knows what I'm talking about. He goes to the gym. But in those pieces, what I have found works for me is to admire how it broke. Because in the breaking, as it's on the floor, oftentimes I see a pattern. And what's that pattern? Oh, it's like looking at the clouds. Oh, that's a giraffe. Oh, it looks like a hand, right? Or, oh, there's a message. Oh my gosh, there's a message in the mess. How many of you know those Picasso paintings where it's all broken and jarbled and looks crazy but sells for millions? Hello, there's value in the broken.
Yes.
There's value in the broken. In fact, I'll tell you a little secret. When I used to do poetry, and some of you guys will know this, for a while I was Tokyo because I always did positive poetry off the mic, just off the cusp. And then I wanted a space for my darkness. So I went by the name The Broken to talk about my flaws and my struggles and everything else, which shows that being broken is needed. We're so quick to try and hide the brokenness. We're so quick to try and, like I said, get the dust mop and pick it up and not let anybody see that we dropped the plate. But how many of us have dropped plates to where when you see the plate dropped, there's a empathy given for the situation? Or even better, you drop the plate. Somebody else comes over and says, hey, do you need help? I mean, actually, that's what this room is. This room is everybody coming together and saying, hey, I got you. And here's the other truth. When you pick up the plate, you might not pick up all the pieces. But is it still a plate despite not having all its pieces? Because we're so quick to try and find the shattered pieces. And I'll speak from a relational standpoint. There might be those out there, your exes, that have taken pieces of you, right? But that doesn't mean you can't go to a place where pottery or clay is made and fill it in yourself. There's an art in Japan where they take a broken plate or bowl and fill it in with gold. Hello. I wish I knew the name. I don't. Thank you. And then that art, that piece of work now goes on a mantle. It's idolized. It's appreciated because now it tells a story of the human experience, which so many of us try to avoid, including myself. My friends, if I could tell you anything, it is that the broken is beautiful. Being shattered hurts. It is jarring to say the least. But my God, if it's not an experience that no other animal or thing can have because they can't process like we can. They can't relive the situation like we can. They can't learn from like we can. And that's something. Because then when we learn and somebody else drops a plate and doesn't want you to know they dropped the plate, you can say, I've dropped the plate too.
Yes. Love it, love it. Oh my goodness, let's clap that up again. When was the last time we were worried about that broken glass, right? And you remember as a kid, we break something, mama is coming, okay? We got to have all kind of explanations. And as an adult, the explanation is it had to be broken. We had to be, look at that, something's breaking. It had to be broken. That's my Micah, had to be broken. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Tokyo, for being vulnerable up here. We have Lynette Johnson coming up, and we are going to let her do her thing and let us learn from her as well. Here you go, darling. Thank you, sis.
All right, good morning, everybody. Give me just a second to put my stuff together. So what I'm doing here, I'm making a pyramid. And this pyramid is representative of who I am. Could I get this table? Thank you. This pyramid is a representation of who I was 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. And at that time, I would say I had everything that I thought was necessary for me to be happy, for me to feel whole. I had my husband, my kids were great. I had a good job going on. I was making new friends. So at the bottom of my pyramid, you'll find my basic necessities, everything I needed to feel safe, like clothing, food, and water. Did I turn this off? Because I just hit a button.
I gotta do more than hit a button.
Okay.
It's still on the green.
Okay. Great. All right. I sure will. Watch this. It's a magic trick. All right. All right. So I had all these things, and those things were necessary for me at that time to feel safe. And then I had to add to my pyramid. And these are the things that helped me to feel connected to the people around me, to the places I was at, maybe the things around me, stuff like loyalty, teamwork, reciprocity, acceptance, and community. Let me fix this a little bit, y'all. Sorry. Oops. My pyramid is a little messed up. Hey, I love it. We're going to pretend that this is perfect. All right. But at the top of my pyramid, and this is not a perfect pyramid, guys, but at the top of my pyramid, this is where I'm able to make decisions. I'm able to think things through. And this is my ability to work from my executive function. I'm in a place where I'm whole, I'm healthy, and everything is working well for me. But then, guys, something happened. The trust was gone, financial provision gone, stability gone, and this was me, all in the blink of an eye. I lost everything. And to say that it hurt that's an understatement. So I remember before this thinking to myself, this life is perfection. And then this happened to me. And that's why we're here. We're here to talk about that moment when all of this happens, when things fall apart. What do you do when all your dreams come crashing to the ground? What do you do when everything that you worked so hard to build crumbles? What do you do when everything that you believe to be true becomes a lie? I remember this space very vividly. And I remember one night sitting at the table and I was crying. I was alone. I didn't have anybody to talk to. And I was like, okay, I got to do something. So I got on the Book of Faces and I started to scroll through and I ended up on an advertisement for a book called Don't Quit. And the lady was talking about her book and selling her book, and she stopped in a moment and she looked into the camera. She said, I feel like there's a woman on this live whose marriage is falling apart. You're at the end of your rope and you think that this is the end, but I feel like God is saying to you, don't quit, don't give up, don't give in. This is the season of recompense and he's going to restore everything you lost. And I was like, what? Because that was my life in that moment. And I said, okay, so that message is for me. But over time, I figured out don't quit didn't mean don't quit on everything, because life can still fall apart on you. Things can go wrong, but I found out that the don't quit meant don't quit on me. So if I had anything to give you today, I would say, number one, when you're putting these pieces back together, don't quit on you. From then on, I spent as much time as I could trying to figure out how to repair the marriage, how to get things back together, how to make sure my kids were protected from everything. But every time I opened my mouth, anger, resentment, bitterness, those things would come out. And so as I was trying to fix things, things began to get worse. So I had to take some time and I had to say, this isn't who I am. How did I get here? And so instead of talking to myself about it, I sat down, I closed my eyes and I said, anger, why are you here? And it took me a little while. And then the anger told me that it was there because I was grieving. I had lost something that was very important to me. And because I took the time to ask that question and understand where I was able to give myself some grace. I couldn't hold myself to this standard of perfection anymore because I now see myself as an imperfect human living a human experience and growing through it. And so that's the second thing I want you to hear from me. Not only do you not quit on yourself, but the second thing is to take time to understand where you are and then give yourself some grace. These last 2 years of my life have been some of the most painful days I've ever experienced in my life. The process has been ugly, and I had to accept some hard truths and make a lot of hard decisions, but I didn't quit. I leaned heavily on my friends and my family as I scrambled to find all my broken pieces. And then I'm going to share this story with you that I heard that really helped me put myself back together again. And this story is from a psychiatrist who he helps people through marital problems, divorce, things like that. And he had a woman come into his office and she sat down with him and he did his introductory things with her. And she talked about how her husband cheated on her and he cheated with a friend and they hurt her. And she didn't understand, how can they do this to me? Why would they do something like that? They need to stop this. They need to apologize to me and make this right. And finally, as a practitioner, he said, okay, well, tell me something. Why are you here? And she said, well, I'm here because I need your help. I need to get past this. I'm stuck. He said, okay, so you need help from me. All right. Well, who's paying for this? And she said, well, I am. He said, if you're the one that needs help and you're the one paying for these sessions, then why are we spending so much time talking about them and what they did? See, what she had done is she made herself a victim. They did this to me. I did the same thing. They did this. He did this. She did this. And she said that. But what he also talked to her about was not only did she make them the villain, she also put them in a position to be the hero of her story. So, third thing I want you to hear from me today, focus on the right thing. Become the hero of your own story. Decide what things are there that you can do for yourself, independent of anything or anybody else, to put your pyramid back together again. And then, just like me, you can rebuild with or without the help of somebody else. And you can find yourself in a place of safety and stability once more and again. Thank you. Oh.
Amen. Talk about building back up again. Get our pyramid back together. Find your pieces. That was powerful. Amen. All right. We have our next speaker coming up. His name is Ricardo, and he's going to lay it down like we need him to. So go ahead and put out there what we need to put out there. Oh, you have a mic. Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Do you need this one?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
All right. What's up, guys? How you doing? Okay, good morning. Hey, happy to be here. I appreciate you guys for hosting me. And it's always my pleasure to talk about the things I consider help somebody move forward, right? And I'm going to tell a little story. 15 years ago, exactly 15 years ago, I was a kid who was playing baseball, who was running around, who was being happy in Venezuela. That's where I'm from. I'm from Venezuela. And I was with some friends. Went to a party. I was driving home with them together. Some car passed by, shooting at us, and they shot me in my back. Right. Ever since, I haven't been able to use my legs. I haven't been able to walk again at all. And it's been tough. That's when you break into pieces, right? And that's when it's our job and our goal to put those pieces back together. Right. So when I found out that the topic was get your pieces back together, I just wanted to talk about it because it's my life, right? That's what I've been through. And one of the things I realized is we have to adapt, we have to adjust to life and to whatever life's going to throw to us and at us. So one of the things that I first faced was not knowing what the hell was going on, right? Not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing if I was going to be okay or not. But everything in my life turned into being grateful and gratitude. Why? Because I was alive. Why? Because I have somebody that I could rely on. I have a family, I had a support system. See, we either create or destroy things in our mind and our environment too. So it's important that we surround ourselves with people like all of us here who are in the same mission, who are in the same thoughts, and who are in the same frequency. To me, adapting was obviously hard, but I always did it with love and with the willingness of moving forward. Now, that applies to everything in life. That applies to me learning English. That applied to me studying, playing sports again, and being the person that I am today. So it's not so much about me, but it's about how we as human and as people that we are, because we are human, like you were saying, we deserve to give ourselves the opportunity and the change and create that so we can change our present reality. And there's a couple of things that I always like to talk about. And everything we are and the place we're at right now is because of the sum up of the decisions and the actions that we've been making in the past year, 2 years, 5 years that take us to where we at right now. So how do we overcome that, and how do we get better at doing that and making change happen? It all starts with knowing where we're at and knowing where we're going. So it's like a GPS. They're going to ask you, they're not going to ask you how you're going to get there. They're going to ask you where you're at and what's the address you want to get to. Right? That's what I had. I had clarity in my mind that I wanted to be free again. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be somebody who my family wasn't crying over or about or feeling sorry for. So I always applied myself into let me find the purpose of my life. Let me grab onto that and let me live my life based on that. My purpose was my why. My why was my family. I don't want to see my family crying for me. I don't want to see anybody feeling sorry for me. I still don't want to see anybody feel sorry for me. I don't need help for anything. And I'm independent. That was my mindset when I was trash laying on the bed. Okay? But it all starts here. So why is that? Because we as human beings, we create our reality, just like I said. But we create it in our head, we create it in our mind. It's the way we think. The way we think is going to make us feel some type of way. So the way I think is going to make me feel something. And I'm going to act upon those feelings. So when I feel a certain type of way, I'm going to take certain type of actions. And that's going to turn to the results that I'm producing today based on what I program. So if I want to change my current life, if I want to change my present, if I want to change any results that I'm getting right now that I don't like, or if I want to keep them, right? I don't fix the actions. We got to fix the thinking. You become what you think most of the time. All right. So what you keep thinking of, and it's something that I've been learning about myself lately, and something that I like to teach as well and show and share. What are you thinking? Like if I would get into your brain, into your head, what thoughts would I see? Would I see thoughts of success? Would I see thoughts of failure? Would I see thoughts of negativity, positivity? What would I see if I could get into your head? What could you see if you can get into your own head, which you best can do than anybody else? What do you see there the past couple of days, the past week? What are you thinking? Are you afraid? Are you scared? Scared of life? Maybe. We don't know. Right? Until we start reflecting on who we are and how we got to where we are right now. Right? So when that happened to me and I was shot in my back and I wasn't able to walk again, then I discovered that the only solution was to hold on to my why and keep going. So when we talk about focus, we got to focus on our why and the destination we're going to accomplish. When we're focusing, focus stands for follow one course until successful. That's exactly what I did. Followed my goal, followed my why, followed my purpose. I always envisioned myself like this man who is powerful, who is impacting many lives, who overcame what I went through, and who is destined to inspire other people do the same thing in all areas of life. Obviously, it started with the fitness. It started with the getting back together, started talking to hospitals and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, that transition to inspiring other people's lives differently, helping people how to make money, helping people how to be free, coming to places like this and share a little bit of experience, which is, I think, and I believe, the real knowledge with people like you. All right. So 2 words, and this word said already, that I always use is never quit. You cannot lose unless you quit. It might take years, it might take months, it might take days, it might take decades. But as long as you don't quit on what it is you're doing, there's no way you can lose, right? So keep that in mind. If you don't quit, you cannot lose at all. And that's really, really important that we keep that in mind, okay? Something that I really want to touch base on is how everything that we do is interconnected. So you got to think about who are you surrounding yourself with? What are you listening to? What are you putting in your mind? What are you putting in your brain? What are your mentors? Right? Are you surrounded by yourself by people who are gossiping all the time, or are you surrounding yourself by people who are talking vision, future, who are talking goals? That's really important. If you grab your phone and you check who you text the most, who you talk to the most, and then you see those conversations are probably not useful, then you got to limit that time, because it happens to all of us where we go and then realize that, okay, this person's draining me. Every time I have a conversation with this person, I end up tired. You got to limit that. It's called limited association. And that's really, really important to practice. So everything that I'm showing you guys, everything that I'm telling you is based on experience. But what happened to me is I succeeded at something, which is overcoming being shot, not being able to walk again ever, having to adjust everything in my life. I experienced that and I was successful at it, but I didn't know why. Right? I don't know how I did it. I just knew that I overcame everything, and my life is completely perfect right now. But once I started studying, now I can show people how to get the right path and how to apply that in the most efficient way. And that way is you become what you think most of the time. All right. So think what you're thinking about. So thinking is not the same as mental activity. Okay. That's different. People say, oh, that person's thinking, this person is thinking, I'm thinking too much. You're only thinking when you're organizing your thoughts into a definite purpose or goal, right? So you deliberately choose where you want to go to and you organize your thoughts towards that. That's what it's called thinking. It's different than mental activity, right? So one last thing that I want to communicate to you guys is when life put me in that situation, I had two options. I had the options of giving up, and I had the option of let's succeed and let's make life better. And that's what I decided to do. By doing that, I discovered a world of sports and I started playing wheelchair basketball. After being a baseball player, I said I need to play sports. I started playing wheelchair basketball. I became very competitive. I got a full scholarship to play for the University of Texas at Arlington. That's what kept me in the U.S. You know, as I was learning the English language and everything. And I had the opportunity to play there, get a good education, win the national championship in 2017, move to Kansas City, play for a Division I team, and coach juniors so I can teach them and give back and help them do the same. So always give back. The best way to feel happy is to give back and to be grateful. I dare you to try this. Try to be grateful and sad at the same time. You think it's possible? It's not, right? Try to give back to somebody. Try to pick somebody else's broken plate and feel sad at the same time. You feel helpful, you feel useful. And when you feel useful because you found your purpose and you're chasing it, you're following it, and you're on and on and on and on and on after it, then you're going to be more fulfilled. Why? Because we're giving people like to give. But ironically, a lot of people don't like to ask, right? So it's the same thing. Like we like to buy, but we don't like to be sold. We like to receive, but we don't like to ask. And it's okay to ask. It leads to friendships. It leads to other people feeling good. It's okay to go out there and help somebody. It's the best way to get moving forward. So something that I've learned a lot too along the way is being stuck is part of the process. When you break your pieces, it's part of the process, but staying stuck is a decision that you make, right? Whatever you do in life, you're making a decision, either do it or not do it, either getting stuck or moving forward, right? But you're making the decision of staying stuck, right? Getting stuck, getting broken is not wrong. It makes you stronger. It makes you be who you are today. It'll make you be who you got to become. And just remember, the brightest moments of your life, I promise you, are a result of the darkest moments you've lived before. If you look back at your past, then you're gonna find the origin and the birth of everything you are today. And most likely, the things you love the most, the things that you enjoy the most, are generated in a place of darkness where you were probably lonely and by yourself, and you thought you're the only person you can count on. But those moments, I look forward to them because I know that they're going to help me accomplish better things. And so will they with you as well. So apply that. Let's keep growing. Let's keep helping each other out. And let's keep making this world better by finding more people like you guys and us in this environment and help each other up move along the way. So thank you guys.
That was awesome. Amazing. What do you do when their intention was for evil and God used it for good? What do we do then? Right? The intention was for evil and it still got used for absolutely lighting up everybody in this room. Do you remember when the intentions were evil for you? When they wanted to see you fall? When they wanted to see you never get up again and you stood up anyway? That is what we're here for, putting our pieces back together. We have Miss Carol coming up and she gonna bring it too.
I am hot. Let's just get that out the way first. Spicy. Focus. The ability to know what matters to you the most, then you act on it. Putting the pieces back together. My pieces were all scattered and mostly broken. I had no idea how to put the pieces back together until I changed my mindset. So listen, if you don't change your mind, don't waste your time. It have to first start with your mind. Hi, my name is Carol Tabron, and I would like to share my story. 14 years ago, I weighed 362 pounds, and I was killing myself every bite of the way. 14 years ago, I decided to take control and take my life back. Now, as a young girl, I was healthy and strong, small, didn't have a weight problem at all. But I was sad, very sad, unhappy as a young adult, as a teenager, even as a married woman. So I found comfort in food. I'm looking at you. Was it Tokyo? Was it? Yeah. I found comfort in food because I keep thinking about that shattered plate. Yeah. After having both of my children, I gained so much weight. My children had to help me do so many different things. Pull me up off the sofa, put my shoes on, tie them up, and even take them off. I would get so tired just trying to do things around the house, you know, wash dishes, clean up, cook dinner. I had to go sit down and take breaks in between because I was so heavy and winded and tired all the time. 14 years ago, I decided to stop killing myself and I began to do the work. I realized that the food was not the problem. It was my mindset. I needed to figure out what the real problem was. Food was just a cover-up, just a cover-up. So I had to face a lot of things. It was very painful and hard, but it was so worth the fight. For the first time in my life, I was fighting for my life. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to be free. I didn't want to be in pain anymore. I didn't want to be sick anymore. And I no longer wanted to wear a size 32 and 34 and on my way to a size 36 and getting ready to weigh 400 pounds. I didn't want that for my life. I did not. So I faced all my fears, but I didn't do it alone. God was with me every step of the way. Then I joined a weight loss center, lost my first 25 pounds. And this time I kept it off. How many times did I lose weight? I'll lose 5 and gain 10. I'll lose 15 and gain 20 back. This went on over and over and over and over. So I quit going because I was committed, focused, and doing everything that I needed to do to continue to lose the weight. But wait, I felt so bad. I felt miserable because me, the mother, should have been the responsible one, was the one to introduce my daughter, my baby girl, to this unhealthy way of eating and living, this unhealthy lifestyle. We love the unhealthy food, you know, the cookies, candy, the chips, the soda, the ice cream. Oh, we threw down. But my son, on the other hand, he didn't partake in that lifestyle at all. He was always healthy, ate well, was active, played sports, went to the gym. But it's funny how things can turn around. My daughter was the first one that started eating healthy. When she got pregnant with her first child 19 years ago, she started craving fresh fruits and vegetables. Mommy, I want fruits. I said, okay, I'll get you a can of fruit cocktail. No, I want peaches, fresh ones, and cherries. I was like, girl, we don't eat like that. What are you talking about? But that's what she wanted. So that's when I got my first go at eating healthy, but I had not changed my mindset. I was still eating my unhealthy food, the fried chicken and the fish and the hamburgers and fries, but I ate my fresh fruits and vegetables. My mindset hadn't changed completely yet. So I had to learn how to encourage myself a lot and do a lot of praying. I mean, a lot of praying. I told myself, this is my life, my road to walk down, my race to win, and I'm winning this race no matter what. I couldn't give up on myself, so I had to persevere. And God gave me the strength to do it. I had to fall in love with me. I was so busy giving my love out to everybody else. I had to realize that I'm just as important as everybody else and that I matter too. So, this new me, the one that loves herself, I am faithful to God and myself and my health. Overcomer of all excuses, committed to the process. Unstoppable, yes, that's me. Striving to be my very best every day of my life. Now I am focused and I'm putting my pieces back together. What about you? So if you don't change your mind, don't waste your time. It have to start with your mind first. Thank you for allowing me to share a portion of my story. God bless. Thank you. Oh, I'm running off with it. I'm sorry.
male role models in my life, it kind of put me in a position to make some choices that I probably wouldn't have made if I had some guidance. So my choice making growing up as a teenager was I made some bad choices. I dropped out of school after the 8th grade. I started using drugs, selling drugs, went from selling drugs to using drugs. The number one rule was don't get high off your own supply. So I did all those things, was kind of mean to in my relationships because I didn't have guidance. So all these pieces that were broken is because of the choices that I made. But as I started putting the pieces back together again, it started when I had my child. That's when I knew that I was going to have to start putting the pieces back together again, is because I knew as a child how I felt and how that made me feel by not having my dad around. And that's the worst feeling that a young man or a young girl could go through, is not having your father around to teach you how to survive or how to go get through some of the challenges that you might face. And when you don't have that, it kind of gives you a lot of anger built up, resentment. You don't know how to really handle a lot. And the only thing I knew how to do was handle my situations with my anger. So when I had my first child, I knew that I was going to have to start putting the pieces back together again. Because again, like I said, I knew how that felt, and it wasn't a great feeling. And I wouldn't want my kids to go through something that I went through, and it bothered me. So I had my first child, my second child, my third child, my fourth child. And I'm not going to go on 5, 6, 7. But, but I didn't know how to be a father. But all I know is that I just wanted to be present. And we could work it out along the way, because I didn't want them to go through without me being there. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I got a perfect attendance as being a dad. With 9 beautiful children, I have perfect attendance of being a dad. So as I'm beginning to put the pieces back together again, I'm like, how do I do this? How do I start putting the pieces back together again? And as I was thinking about my inner child and things that I went through, and what I want you to do right now is, I want you to just think about if there was anything that you could do. And I know you guys are adults, but I always ask the youth this when I'm speaking with them. If there's something, a goal or your dream job or whatever it is that you could do that's going to make you some money or in the right way, what would that be? I want you guys to think about that right now. I'm gonna give you just about 30 seconds. I want you to think about whatever it is that you would want to do. What would that be? Focus on that, because we're talking about focus. Focus on that. Now, as you focusing on that, I have a curriculum. It's called the Fox Principles. And the first word for the F is focus on desired outcome. Whatever you desire in your heart, you can have it, but you have to focus on it. So whatever it is that you're focusing on, that you said that that you would do in your life, and whatever that is, what are the steps that you would have to take to get there? You would have to take some steps to get there. So that means you would have to be focused on whatever that is. So can somebody tell me out there in the audience right now, what was one of the things I told you to focus on? What was the good thing that you said that you would want to do? Anybody? Write a book. There are steps to writing a book. Anybody else? World peace. Influence. Okay.
Go ahead and talk.
Hi.
You're live,
I
so
don't know what to.
don't be too awkward.
I didn't know it was hi. I thought it was just a test. Welcome to the Yellow Door. I'm Micah.
Yay. We're doing a sound check. We understand that we lost sound during the session, and I thank everyone for being patient with us as we're at our new event space, trying new speaker systems, and we learned that, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out how you planned. The plate fell, the pieces are broken. I'm grateful we have our community here right now. We're all picking the pieces up together and we're going to move forward together. So give us a couple more minutes and we'll see you soon. You're doing it professionally.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We are on our second half of our focus and putting the pieces back together. Myself, Evie the Healer of Queens, and Gary the Warrior.
Your boy, Coach G. I am the warrior, though.
Yes. We are going to bring up everybody one by one. Have everybody had a great time so far?
Yeah.
We have been putting our pieces back together so far?
Yes. Are you putting your pieces back together out there? We know you are. Keep doing it.
With gold.
And my sweat had a chance to dry.
We are going to bring up James Devine, and he is going to talk to us about how putting our pieces back together is.
Welcome him. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm James Devine. I'm going to share a story today where choosing focus created extraordinary results.
Okay.
A few years ago, I was on my way to a gas station to get some water for me and my wife. And outside of the gas station, there was a man, and he asked if I had some money. I didn't have any money to give, so I told him, sorry, I don't have any money. I went on with my business. And as I was leaving the gas station, as I was driving away, this man started walking up to my car. I knew this man was going to ask for money, and I knew I didn't have that to give. But at the same time, I knew I did have something to give. I had my focus, my attention, my presence, and my care. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and hear this man. I'm gonna see what he wants, even though I'm pretty sure he's just gonna ask for money again. I'm gonna see what he wants. And I rolled down my window, and he came up, and he was bouncing around. He wasn't making eye contact with me, and he was like, "Hey man, can I get $2?" And I just decided to be completely focused on this person. Not just on the words that they were saying, but on the person behind the words. To be completely present, absorbed, and focused on who this person was and what they needed from me. And in my attention, in my focus, and my presence, I had the sense that he needed something from me much more than $2. He needed something even more potent. So I stayed present with him, and I asked him, I said, "What do you want?" He said, I just need $2. Just $2. What do you want? With care, focus, presence, attentiveness. I said, "What do you want?" I just got to get my tires fixed. $2. I said, "What do you want?" And all of a sudden, he got still. He stopped bouncing around. He made eye contact with me. And he said, "I want my wife back." And I said, "You miss your wife? You want your wife back?" And he said, "Yes, I want my wife back." And tears started rolling down his face. I pulled over, and I spent the next 15 to 20 minutes being completely attentive, focused, present with him as he shared his story of losing his wife and the devastation that had on his life. He bawled, and he shared, and he processed. And at the end, I got to have a beautiful hugging embrace, and we left. And as I was driving home, I was just in awe. I was in awe at the transformation that I watched occur because I chose to be focused and present with this man. That he went from being disconnected, scattered, looking for something outside of himself, to becoming centered, grounded, present with the pain and trauma that he was dealing with in his life. Because I chose focus, presence, attentiveness, he got to begin to put the pieces of himself back together. The pieces that he had become disconnected, lost to. I have not found a more potent place in my life to apply focus than listening to others. All of us here in the human experience are lost to ourselves and doing our best to regroup, regather the pieces that we have lost, and put ourselves back together. And when I choose focus and presence in my life to others, I find that it creates a space and opportunity for others to look in the mirror, to realize within themselves what's missing, what they've forgotten. And also when I choose focus and presence with others, like this the experience with this man, it creates an opportunity for the sharer, the listener, to become focused within themselves, clear about what they're sharing. I noticed, this is just one example. I mean, hundreds of examples in my life over the past 6 years where by choosing silence, presence, absorption, I'm out of my world, I'm choosing to be in the world of another, people immediately become clear about what they want to communicate. They're if I'm maybe a little bit in my head, in my own world, thinking about, I'm listening to respond versus listening to listen. People's sharing tends to be kind of more all over the place. And then when I notice that when I become fully focused on somebody, no longer in my world, in my head, their sharing becomes focused, becomes potent, becomes clear. This is like this focus and listening to others with strangers where they share vulnerably, potent, amazing, and also in personal relationships, in intimate, close relationships. I often find that there's breakdowns in communication relationships. Things come up, triggers occur, conflict arises. It's the nature of human connection that conflict arises. And that can be scattering. It can be scattering and shattering for relationships. But when I choose in my most intimate relationships to get out of my world, get out of my own disturbance, and become completely attentive, focused on what's happening for my partner or friend, there's a space for them to feel understood enough, seen and received enough, that I can begin to put those pieces of our relationship back together. So creating focus, deep, intimate, empathic listening in relationships creates a space for introspection, putting the pieces of our own personal self back together, putting the pieces of broken relationships back together, and creates an environment where focus breeds focus. So that's my message today. I have not found a more important place for focus in my life than listening to others. Thank you. Awesome.
That was awesome. What do we do when we need to focus? Is everybody focused right now? Yeah. Let's give him another hand clap for that. That's amazing.
Right. I'm really excited about our next guest. She's like mama to me. Yeah. So I've done a show with her before, and I do a show currently with her son. This is a powerhouse woman that has wisdom that she's going to spit out of her mouth for us today. So if you all would welcome Stephanie Hockenhall, I would really appreciate it.
Come on, Queen, let's do it.
Come on, Mama.
Come on, Queen Mama, get out there. Let's do it. Yes, ma'am. Get it to them.
Hey, everybody. I am happy to be here. I am focusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see you. I see you. I see you. Today, I am here to talk about broken pieces. I'm focusing on what should be and could be beneficial for me, you, and you. You see, we should all be creating a peaceful environment of love around ourselves. What is it about you that draws you to me? You have a piece about you that makes me want to learn more about you. I need some of that. Show me the way. Come with me and I'll show you how to start putting the broken pieces together again. You see, I was broken in many pieces. I started to feel like Humpty Dumpty when he fell off the wall. The part of him that I'm referring to is when they couldn't put him back together again because the pieces were all scattered again, broken. Yes, that was me, broken. Although many pieces of me have been put together, there are so many broken pieces left. But believe me, I will receive what is best for me and my growth. This growth will help me, you, and others excel in life above and beyond our wildest dreams. After experiencing bullying for many years and being a bully too, Yes, I was a bully too. I had to first realize that it was possible as an adult to experience bullying. Bullying is unwanted, controlling, forceful behavior towards others that involves a real or perceived power imbalance. Can y'all hear me in the back? Okay. Bullying behaviors do not happen, they do happen repeatedly in all age ranges, starting as toddlers when they're pushing, biting, and kicking each other. Bullying is also seeking to harm, intimidate, or coerce someone perceived as vulnerable. I had to learn there was a way to pick up these broken pieces. I have had to learn that the feeling of inferiority, hopelessness, and helplessness, along with self bullying and self sabotaging, could only continue to take up residence in my life if I allowed it. I could also choose to evict what was happening from my mind. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." I chose to serve the eviction notice on my own thoughts and beliefs because they were not serving me well. My mom raised myself and two boys most of our lives by herself. I am the oldest, struggling with a childhood where love was seldom expressed, either physically or verbally, led to toxic relationships for me, led to workplace bullying, and concluded with 3 bad job experiences in a row. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit, but first let me share this. My mom's side, on my mom's side, they experienced hatred. There was generations of hatred, starting with my great great grandfather who raped his slave, and there was a son that came out of that relationship. Well, that son who ended up being my great grandfather um, hated his dad. He wanted nothing to do with him. So you hear the hatred on my mom's side for generations. My dad, his dad, took him out of school. There was 15 kids. He wasn't the oldest or the youngest, but somewhere in the middle. His dad took him out of school, and he didn't get to finish school. So he does not know how to read. So he hates his dad. He still talks about it. And then for me, I just gave you the 2 generational sides. For me, I cried a lot, desiring to be loved. And back then, in that generation when I was born, um, we were told that they were told. I'm sorry. My mom was 16, and she was told, lay the baby down, feed them, change their diaper, don't hold them, you'll spoil them. So I was laid to cry a lot. That crying continued throughout my life. I didn't know how to deal with things except for crying. I wanted to be different, but I didn't know how to be. So that's a little bit about me. So my love language is physical touch.
Me too.
So I ended up in a lot of toxic relationships, 3 bad job experiences in a row, which was my wake up call. I was fired. Then I took on a job with a friend, and they gave me a temporary position until they created the position they hired me for. That took too long, so I quit. Then I was fired from a job after that, and that's when I was like, what in the heck is going on? And I just prayed and said, Lord, what is this about? What are you speaking to me? Why am I having these bad job experiences? So I was watching a viral video of a child being bullied, and that sparked an epiphany for me. I was a victim of adult bullying. We always hear about children being bullied, but I learned at that time that as an adult, that's what I experienced in the workplace mostly, but in relationships as well. It was time to do something about this. I had to learn how to address the pain, the hurt, the brokenness, and the hatred for all that I've seen, learned, and experienced. The cycle had to be broken. I was the one chosen to break the cycle. I remember I told you that there were generations of created hatred. So again, I was the one chosen to not only be broken, but to understand why. I had to understand how to break the generational hatred, because that's what it was on both sides. We have the power to change our lives by making a choice. Albert Einstein said, you can't solve a problem on the same level of consciousness that it was created on. So I had to learn how to break that cycle. So this, to me, meant going beyond my understanding and seeking a higher power than I. I chose God to learn from him and his Holy Spirit to teach me how to love myself and others. I didn't know how to love me. We can continue to believe what we've always believed and what the generations before us believed and remain stagnant. We can choose to agree with God and put the pieces back together and grow and learn to love ourselves and others. We can also have that peace beyond our understanding. Martin Luther King said, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Maya Angelou said, forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it. Do the best you can until you know better, then you do better. So, I told you about my love language and the toxic relationships, the bad experiences, my relationship with God. That's what changed my life. Seeking better and more for myself and trying to understand what the heck was going on. Why are all these broken pieces happening in my life? And so I understand now that in order for me to have a better life, I have to turn to the higher power, God, to hear from him, to learn how to deal with issues. Because I didn't know how to deal with issues. So I cried a lot growing up. Even as an adult, my kids grew up watching me cry. And they did not want to repeat that cycle. What's wrong with mom? Why is she crying so much? Because I didn't know how to use my voice. I didn't have the courage to speak up and use my voice. I've learned how now I gain courage through constantly using affirmations and speaking to myself. You are better than they say you are. You are not who they say you are. You can do this. You can choose better for yourself. You can love others. You can love yourself. I didn't even know what the heck that meant. So I had a boyfriend one time that told me, you want me to tell you I love you all the time, but I show you. You just want to hear me say it to you all the time. And then he said, I said, how do you love yourself? And he said, I don't know. Well, that didn't help me. But as a result of that and the things that I experienced, I've created a nonprofit organization, and the name of it is Love Misunderstood Institute, so that I can share with people and give people hope and encouragement. You don't have to experience bullying. You don't have to allow people to treat you bad in order to have friends or family or whatever. Learn how to love yourself.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, learn how to love yourself, accept you in you, right? Yes. That is amazing. And we have to go through trials and tribulations to even find ourselves. Right. When you break down, you actually unbury the next version. That is the next step. That's how we do that. You can't, if you have never been through nothing, nobody's going to listen to you talk about nothing. You have to, your been through is how you get through. Okay? Our next speaker. Yes.
I guess I got to add to that, though.
What's that?
I'm learning, because my journey is similar to hers. Okay, the journey of a warrior. But I'm learning I've got to die.
Absolutely.
In order to live.
Yes.
And
nobody likes going to funerals, but yet you have to attend every version of yourself and the death of each one.
I'm just thinking about all the things that she said, and all the things that I've experienced, and I know all of you have experienced. And I had to die. That version of Gary had to die. That version of Coach G had to die so that this version of Gary or Coach G could live. So
absolutely.
The courage that it's taken Stephanie and really all of our speakers today to get on the stage and be vulnerable and share their stories. But we got to see the dying version, hear the dying version. You got to witness that version that is alive today, that's growing, that's thriving, that phoenix. You got to see that version of them today. So, absolutely. I don't know. I'm just jacked. That's exciting. So.
It is amazing to watch people rise and to be there to encourage their lifting up. Our next speaker, Miss Kimberly, is absolutely a survivor, and she's going to tell us how. Thank you. Come on up, ma'am.
All right. I was going to start from the back and come around here. I'm just going to play a little song, walk around for a little bit. You can hear it. Hold on. Let me get you on video doing this. I hear someone out there singing. So we've all heard that, right? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. There are times where people are like, oh yeah, but you're so strong. And I'm like, you know, I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired of it. So everyone here has a story. I want you to raise your hand if any of you have had just a cakewalk of a life. Yeah? No hands? I saw a half hand back there. That means that every single one of you has been through something. And it doesn't matter how big someone else perceives it or how small someone else perceives it. That's your story. Don't you love it? Don't you love it when someone starts judging you from the chapter of your story that they walked into, possibly titled Hot Mess Express? You know, when you've lost your job, you're going through a messy divorce, you're chasing kids to 100 different places, and dry shampoo is your best friend on day 3 through 7. Girls, you know what I'm talking about? I'm Kimberly Sly. I'm the mom to 3 amazing children who give me a run for my money, and they are the reason that I continue to stand up and fight. I have multiple PhDs from none other than the prestigious School of Hard Knocks. Y'all thought I was going to say Harvard. And I have a great support system. Many of you here who and friends and family who have stood by me through it all. My story, if you will, really got a kickstart, a little engine revving, my older 2 race motocross. In 2011, at the ripe old age of 26, when I decided that I'd finally had enough of begging and pleading with my first husband to go get help, when he got involved with the wrong crowd in construction working and became an addict and figured out how to spend every penny we had if it was in the account. I would go on to date 2 more alcoholics and end up being diagnosed with a blood clotting disorder, and after a pulmonary embolism that almost killed me and being hospitalized, having 13 surgeries in the span of 2 years and being told I'd be put on medication for the rest of my life, I found my second husband who portrayed himself as a gym. I quickly found out that that would be my worst nightmare, something that led me to one of the deepest, darkest, lowest places of my life, and it made my first husband not look so bad. I would leave on September 23rd of 2020. You all remember, right during a pandemic. I would pack my car with the intentions of living in it with my children. I ended up hotel hopping for a few months before I was finally placed into a domestic violence shelter that had an opening where we would live for the next 3 months. One year later, I would end up losing my job at KU as a surgical oncology nurse because I chose to use my voice and stand up and not comply with the vaccine mandates. Yeah. I tell you these small pieces of my story because had I not went through the soul-crushing devastation, I would not be who I am today and backed by some of the most incredible people that I've met along the way. Had I not met my first husband, I wouldn't have my amazing children, living in Manhattan, Kansas, where I had a metaphorical blood transfusion, and I now bleed purple. While I was there, I worked for Aveda, and I got a dose of the holistic world and what it meant to use natural things. This helped aid me in the beginning of healing my blood clotting disorder without covering it up with Western medicine, covering up the symptoms with Western medicine. Had I not felt sick, I wouldn't have found my passion to research natural and ancient ways of food medicine. Had I not found my second husband, I wouldn't have pursued nursing school, where I was able to experience on the other side firsthand the effects of cancer and medicine, and what it had on people, which fueled my passion to research why cancer is skyrocketing. Had I not experienced domestic violence in my second marriage, I wouldn't have had to dig real deep into my soul to find my voice and learn how to set healthy boundaries. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I may have lost a few of you with different parts of my story, but what my experience has taught me while gathering up all those broken pieces of my puzzle and putting them back together is that you have two choices in life. You can get a broom and sweep all those little pieces up or maybe under a rug and hope that you can move on and start a new life fresh without, it always comes back, right? Like, we don't ever get rid of that. The dirt always comes flooding in. Or you can pick up those broken pieces and start putting that puzzle back together to create a better life than you'd ever imagined. It's up to you how you let these setbacks affect you and what you do with them. For me, it gave me the experience and the credibility to help serve those experiencing cancer and domestic violence, and it fills my soul to the brim. I'm able to help those who have been given that death sentence, if you will, heal and live out their life to the fullest. I never dreamed that I would be able to impact people with my story, but I can't tell you, when I first, not publicly, but just one-on-one started telling people what I had been through, I can't tell you how many other people said, that's me right now. Like, you know, or that's my friend. Like, you never know who can relate to you. So never judge a person by the chapter you walked in on. The most impactful people in history often started from nothing, and they've been crushed multiple times. Never underestimate the power of your puzzle pieces when put back together. Every single one of you here has a story worth telling. Thank you.
Wow. So I was just talking about, thank you for the transparency, Kim. I was just talking about that, and I'm just loving that AYPN presents a platform, an atmosphere, energy for people to come in and just be vulnerable and share. There's power in that in itself, but there's the power of that sharing and looking out in the audience as she was telling her story and how it ministered to different people, and Corey and all the different speakers, how that just affected them today. So I just love what is done here. I have one more speaker for you today, and she's near and dear to my heart. Normally when I'm up speaking, I always have to go behind her. So I always forget about what I'm going to speak about because I'm in awe of what she's talking about. So welcoming to the stage, Miss J. Ma.
I'm going to endeavor to keep this short because I know we're hot and want to go inside the cold AC. Yeah. I want to close today's powerhouse of energy and vulnerable story sharing with a topic that is sensitive and fragile. And my sense is that many of us have this experience and very few of us know how to handle it or move through it. How many of you all have ever experienced, to some greater or lesser degree, PTSD? PTSD, okay? What is PTSD? Post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, where does PTSD come from? Trauma. And where's trauma? In the past. Everywhere. in the past. And in order for us to be in a PTSD experience, there has to be a catalyst, a trigger, a collision. And then our focus disappears because we are no longer in our bodies. We are scrambling, trying to pick the pieces back up together. The trauma from the past, when it relives itself in the present moment, why is it that we try to rush to put the pieces back together when we are experiencing shock, when we're experiencing trauma? What is the hurry there? What is the hurry to get back to life? What's the hurry to try to mask that pain and pretend like we have it all together when we are truly in shock, terrified, broken? And my sense is that this topic isn't well talked about or addressed because we don't know how to heal ourselves from PTSD. We don't know what to do. We're trying not to feel it because it's terrible. Trauma sucks. It's painful. Nobody wants to feel what it's like being electrified in pain. 1 week ago, I was in a car accident. Thank God I was okay. The other person was okay. Our cars were drivable. We were able to leave the scene with our pieces together. Yeah. But something happened in that collision that I did not expect coming. And all of a sudden, I was thrown out of my body. I was shaking violently. I was stuttering. And my focus was gone. All I could hear was wong, 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 like that. And I didn't understand. I was okay. He was okay. Our cars, they're going to need some little repairs, but we're okay. And for the entire week, I was experiencing PTSD. I was reliving some old trauma because there was no logical reason why I should not be functioning. I'm alive. I'm well. So is the person that I hit. Why was I incapacitated all week long? Why was I waking up in panic attacks? Why was, when my husband tries to speak to me, all I hear is wong, 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 wong. What is going on? Why am I nauseous all the time? Why am I trying to cry, but the tears aren't coming? They're not flowing. And I acknowledge, I'm like, this is not logical. This is not rational pain. I'm reliving some old muck at the bottom of the lake that got stirred up, and I can't see straight right now. I don't know where I'm swimming. And I don't know how to put my pieces back together. And here's what I've come to realize about PTSD. It's okay that you feel broken. It's okay that you don't know how to put the pieces back together. Perhaps we're not supposed to put those pieces back together. Perhaps we're not trying to seal that old pain and trauma and store it back away. Perhaps those pieces are meant to stay on the ground and be let go of, processed, released, breathed through, without trying to comprehend what's happening, without trying to put on a mask and act like you're okay. And so this week, I let myself just be a complete hot mess. My husband took care of me. I reached out to friends and I asked for prayers. I asked for support. I asked for people to come over and just be with me as I was in the wong, 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 wong. And what I've come to experience in my own healing process of PTSD is that I don't want to have this trauma inside my body anymore. I don't want the accidents in life to trigger me into the past where I lose my focus from the present. And now I'm only remembering past pain. And so I'll leave you with this. The fragility of PTSD, when you're going through it, when you see someone else go through it, give them that gentle reminder that it's okay to not know how to put the pieces back together. That they're still whole and complete. and that the pieces that have shattered and are moving through their being are meant to be left behind. They're meant to be blown away by the grace of God's wind. And when we call on God's peace of mind, when we allow ourselves to be still, when we allow that trauma to just move through us, we can bring back our focus into the knowing that we have always been and will always be whole and complete. Thank you so much.
Wow. Now you see what I'm talking about? I mean, literally every time I'm up to speak, she goes before me, and I'm just left in awe. So many things she said, but I think one that was really simple is that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to have broken pieces. That's not a bad thing. And it's okay that we can't put all those pieces back together. I mean, I've learned that in my personal story, in my personal journey, that some of those pieces don't need to be put back together. And that's okay. So that wraps up our speakers for today. And I want to bring up our illustrious leaders. Izzy, I'll go find James, but
James is busy right now with some of the attendees.
Okay.
But yeah, I just thank you, Gary,
Yeah.
for helping to MC. Thank you, Micah, for the event space and for helping to facilitate this. But thank you to all you speakers who took the time out of your day, not for yourself, because you could do this work at home for yourself, but to take time out of your day to come out here and share your truth unapologetically with all the people here and all the people online, knowing that you do make a difference. Your story is valuable. Your story is changing lives. And I just want to thank everyone who's listening, who's being inspired to go on a self-healing journey and take those first steps. Again, like I always say, please reach out to anybody you resonated with. We're all a community of people wanting to share our space with each other. Some of us are, it's what we do for a living. We help other people, but we all are here to help in whatever way we can, whether it's us helping or it's us getting you to someone who can help you. So I want to, I'll hand it over to James since he's here, but I really want to say thank you. Today was our first time. We hosted outside of our family events we've hosted that we've been outside for. But thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being willing to sit out in the hot sun today. And we're going to move it inside for the second part of our event. For all you online, lo siento that you can't be here with us. But if you want to be part of our Tea Talk, you need to be here with us today. So, or be with us next time.
Yes, I'm not going to say much because I know it's hot right now, and we're going to head back in right after this finishes. But just thank you for coming out. And remember, we all have the power inside of us to choose how we want to take that next step. And with that, we're going to head in, and we're going to do our tea time. So if you plan on staying here, we're going to head inside and do our tea time. If you don't, you're welcome to leave, and thank you for coming out.